The night air was heavy with rain as Aaliyah clutched her worn bag, stepping onto the crowded bus, her heart racing when the driver barked, "Fare!" She froze, patting empty pockets, shame washing over her. A stranger's eyes caught hers, piercing, unreadable, as if weighing her soul. The crowd shifted impatiently, their whispers slicing deeper than the driver's demand. Aaliyah whispered, "I'll get off." But her voice cracked under the weight of humiliation. Before she could move, the stranger's smooth voice broke through, "I'll cover her fare." Gasps rippled through the bus. Aaliyah's pride screamed no, but survival clung to the offer. Her chest ached with a storm of gratitude and humiliation as she avoided his gaze, unaware that her small tragedy had just entangled her with a man who carried more than she could ever imagine. The bus jolted forward, sealing their fates together. The bus rattled forward, tires hissing against wet pavement, as Aaliyah gripped the pole like it could anchor her shame. Her heart thundered and she whispered, "I didn't need his help," though her chest ached with relief. The stranger's dark eyes lingered unreadable, as if peeling away her pride layer by fragile layer. Passengers returned to their chatter, yet she felt their judgment cling like damp clothes. She clenched her jaw, swearing never again to be caught so powerless. But deep inside, a seed was planted, part resentment, part gratitude, and part something she dared not name. Her thoughts churned as she stared out at blurred neon signs sliding past, every color smeared by raindrops. The stranger sat just rows away, posture unyielding, presence radiating power. Aaliyah's pride replayed the humiliation like broken glass in her chest. She muttered under her breath, "Never again," her voice almost drowned by the engine's growl. Yet every stolen glance returned to him, the man who'd paid her fare, who'd seen her weakness exposed. She felt naked before him, though no words passed between them. Something about him unnerved her, not just his wealth, but the aura of someone untouched by struggle. The bus jolted sharply, pulling Aaliyah from her thoughts. Her bag slid, spilling worn notebooks onto the damp floor. She gasped, scrambling to gather them as laughter flickered from a nearby passenger. Shame burned hotter. The stranger moved swiftly, stooping to retrieve one, his large hand brushing hers briefly. Electricity surged through her veins, leaving her breathless. "Careful," he murmured, voice deep, smooth, a command and kindness entwined. She snatched the notebook back, muttering, "Thanks," though her tone was brittle. That single touch rattled her more than the entire crowd's mockery. Silence stretched heavy, louder than the roar of the engine. Aaliyah pressed the rescued notebooks to her chest, heart thundering. She told herself it was nothing, just pity from a stranger, nothing more. But his eyes lingered, steady, searching, as if he saw past her brittle armor. She dared not meet his gaze again. Pride held her chin high, though her chest ached with confusion. Why did kindness feel like another wound? She closed her eyes, whispering a vow only she could hear, "I will not be saved again." Yet deep inside, she feared she already had been. The rain had eased when Aaliyah stepped off the bus, her sneakers splashing shallow puddles, her chest still trembling with the weight of shame and gratitude. She clutched her notebooks tighter, whispering, "Never again," but her voice quivered. The city's neon lights reflected in the water, fractured like her pride. Her phone buzzed with a message from her best friend Maya, urging her to come by the diner. She almost ignored it, too raw to face anyone, but her feet carried her toward the warmth of familiar voices. Aaliyah muttered, "I can't let him haunt me," though every step replayed his gaze. The diner smelled of grease and coffee, humming with chatter. Maya waved from a booth, her wide smile slicing through Aaliyah's storm. Maya, bold and radiant, teased, "You look like you fought the rain and lost." Aaliyah smirked weakly, sliding into the seat. The warmth wrapped around her, but she could not shake the stranger's voice. She whispered, "I hate owing anyone." Maya raised a brow, voice sharper, even kindness. The words stung. Aaliyah traced the cracks in the table, admitting softly, "Kindness feels like pity." The truth burned, heavier than the rain outside. Maya's laughter faded as she studied Aaliyah's clenched fists. You carry too much weight, she said, her tone soft but unflinching. Aaliyah shook her head, voice cracking. I can't afford weakness. Maya leaned closer, eyes warm yet sharp. Survival isn't weakness. Aaliyah turned away, watching raindrops slide down the glass, each one echoing her fears. Her heart whispered of dreams she buried, finishing school, writing stories, finding love. Yet, shame chained her. She muttered, dreams cost money I don't have. Maya replied, dignity is free, but don't confuse it with pride. Silence pressed between them like truth unspoken. Aaliyah's chest tightened, memories flashing of her mother working late shifts, eyes red but spirit unbroken. She whispered, she gave everything, and I'm still stuck. Maya reached across, her hand covering Aaliyah's trembling fingers. You're not stuck, she said, voice steady. You're climbing. Aaliyah blinked back tears, pride battling vulnerability. For a moment, she allowed herself to feel the weight of support, fragile but real. Yet in the back of her mind, the stranger's face flickered again. His eyes, his voice, the way he paid her fare like it cost him nothing. That wound cut deeper than kindness. The rain eased into mist outside, neon glowing soft against the diner's glass. Aaliyah finally exhaled, whispering, I just want to matter. Maya squeezed her hand gently, smiling with quiet strength. You already do, she replied. The words lodged in Aaliyah's heart, sharp with both comfort and ache. She forced a smile, hiding the storm inside, but Maya saw through her mask. Aaliyah muttered, I won't be anyone's charity case again. She looked out into the night, unaware that fate had already tied her story to the stranger who would test every vow she spoke in trembling whispers. The morning sun poured through the blinds of the diner, but Aaliyah's spirit remained clouded with last night's shame. She stepped onto the bustling sidewalk, her thrifted blouse clinging slightly to her damp skin, her bag pressed to her chest like armor. Car horns blared, vendors shouted, and neon signs buzzed faintly, but her ears filled only with the echo of her humiliation. She adjusted her braids nervously, determined to blend into the crowd. Then, across the street, a sleek black car idled, polished metal gleaming under golden light. Her steps faltered. The door opened, and Darius emerged in a navy suit, his presence slicing the noise into silence. Aaliyah's stomach twisted as recognition struck, the man from the bus. But now he looked untouchable, carved from wealth and power. Her pride screamed, he's the one who paid. She turned sharply, praying to slip away unseen, but a voice cut the air, deep and deliberate, you again. Her pulse quickened as Darius' shadow stretched long across the pavement, his stride smooth, dangerous, as if the street bent to his will. Aaliyah squared her shoulders, pride burning hotter than fear. I didn't ask for your charity, she spat, her voice sharp yet trembling beneath its edge. Darius smirked faintly, his calm composure cutting deeper than anger. And I didn't ask for thanks, he replied evenly, tone like steel wrapped in velvet. The words clashed, pride against mystery, both unyielding. Pedestrians brushed past, oblivious to the storm sparking between them. Aaliyah's eyes burned, her chest tight with shame and fire, but his voice lowered, infuriatingly steady. Sometimes strength is knowing when to accept. His words wrapped around her like smoke, slipping under her skin no matter how she resisted. Aaliyah pushed past him, fury pulsing like fire through her veins. Her braids swung with each stride, but his words followed, tethering her spirit like chains. She heard Maya's warning echo in her memory. Don't confuse pride with dignity. She wanted to shake it off, but her chest ached with truth she hated. Behind her, Darius stood motionless, hands in his pockets, his gaze unreadable, as if patience itself clothed him. You don't even know who I am. His low voice carried across the noise, calm but heavy. She spun around, fury blazing in her dark eyes, snapping, and I don't care. Yet the tremor in her voice betrayed the lie. People moved past, muttering, horns blaring in the distance, yet for her, the world shrank until only his gaze remained, a mirror she couldn't escape. The air shifted, tension snapping as another figure cut into the moment. Heels clicked sharp against the concrete, echoing like a warning bell. Serena appeared, her caramel skin glowing under sunlight, her fitted crimson dress sculpted to demand attention, her straightened hair flowing like a polished weapon. Her eyes narrowed, sharp and assessing. "Interesting company," she purred, gaze flicking from Aaliyah to Darius. Aaliyah stiffened, her instincts screaming that this woman carried danger disguised as elegance. Darius's jaw tightened, his calm slipping as old wounds flickered behind his eyes. Serena's smile widened with venomous grace as she lingered on Aaliyah, dismissing her with a single glance as if she were a shadow. Heat rose in Aaliyah's chest, her pride roaring against invisibility. Her voice cut through the tension, sharp and brittle. "I was just leaving." Fury and fear tangled in her chest like barbed wire. Darius' voice dropped, taut as wire. "Serena, not now." But Serena tilted her head, her tone honeyed with poison. "You've traded high standards for this?" Her eyes flicked toward Aaliyah, slicing her with casual cruelty. Aaliyah's chest burned, blood roaring in her ears, the humiliation sharper than a blade. Rage wrestled with sorrow, her lips pressed thin until words bled out bitterly. Nothing. She refused to give Serena her voice. She turned, her chin high, stride rigid with pride, though each step felt like dragging chains. Darius' hand lifted slightly, reaching but froze midair, as though invisible barriers held him. Serena smirked triumphantly, eyes glinting with cruel delight. The city roared around them, but in Aaliyah's chest was only silence, a vow etched deeper than ever. No one would see her break. Yet inside, the wound widened, raw and relentless. The evening sky sank into bruised shades of purple and gray as Aaliyah walked home, her sneakers splashing against uneven pavement. Each step carried the weight of a storm inside her chest. She tried to bury the memory of Darius's voice, of Serena's smirk that carved her pride into pieces. But their presence clung to her spirit like smoke she could not escape. A flicker from her phone broke the silence. A message from Maya appeared. "Check the news." With trembling hands, Aaliyah stopped beneath a flickering streetlight, screen glowing pale against her mahogany skin. The headline froze her blood. "Darius Knight, millionaire heir, business empire at his feet." The man who had paid her fare was a king she never asked to meet. Her whisper cracked the night. Why didn't he say? Rage, disbelief, and betrayal twisted together as the shadows closed around her trembling figure, crushing every ounce of her fragile pride. Her heart pounded as she scrolled, each article sharper than the last. Darius was everywhere. Photos of black-tie galas, boardrooms, charity events. He stood beside leaders, surrounded by power she could not dream to touch. "Why me?" she whispered, voice splintering under the truth. Was she a pity project? An amusement for a man too rich to feel consequences? Each headline mocked her defiance, exposing her as nothing more than a foolish girl who thought she was strong. Yet her mind kept circling back to his gaze on the bus, calm, unwavering, unshaken by her humiliation. That look tangled itself in her rage. Confusion strangled her pride as she staggered forward. A king had seen her at her weakest moment, and now the world was laughing inside her veins. She clutched her phone tighter, the glow painting her face with betrayal. The night's silence cracked under a familiar voice. "So you know now." Aaliyah spun sharply, heart pounding. Across the street, Darius stood tall under the glow of passing headlights, his navy suit immaculate yet his eyes clouded. His presence was unshakable, a fortress carved from wealth and authority, but something raw trembled beneath the calm surface. "You let me believe you were ordinary." Aaliyah's voice cracked, sharp with rage and shame. His lips pressed thin, silence holding heavier than excuses. He stepped closer, slow but steady, words low and deliberate. "I wanted to be." The confession hit like a blade, slicing through her fury and exposing something deeper. Aaliyah's chest heaved as if air had betrayed her, her pride shattering against the truth. A man who had everything wanted only to be unseen. Her fists clenched, trembling as fire broke through her voice. You pitied me, didn't you? I was nothing but a performance for you to save. Darius' jaw locked, his tone finally cracking. It wasn't pity. It was respect. His words carried desperation, yet they felt hollow against the storm in her chest. Aaliyah's bitter laugh sliced the night, sharp as broken glass. Respect doesn't hide behind lies. The street around them blurred with rushing cars and honking horns, but in their world, there was only thunder. Darius' hand lifted, frozen in midair, as if touching her would ignite a war. His voice broke softer now. I didn't want my name to decide who I was to you. The confession hung heavy, shattering his armor. Aaliyah's eyes stung with tears she refused to release. Her pride screamed louder than her pain, but the wound ran too deep to heal with words. Aaliyah's chest rose and fell, breath breaking into sharp fragments. His words swirled in her head, pulling her apart. She wanted to scream, to collapse, to strike him, but silence drowned her. When her voice finally broke through, it was a whisper wrapped in steel and ache. I don't know if I hate you, or need you. Darius' eyes softened, pain flickering across his controlled face, vulnerability leaking through cracks in his fortress. Before he could answer, a voice slithered from the shadows. Serena stepped forward, crimson dress catching the neon glow, arms folded like a queen of knives. Her smirk gleamed, venom in every curve. Secrets never stay buried, she purred. Aaliyah froze, blood turning cold. This wasn't just about pride or wealth or secrets. She had stepped into something bigger, a war of love, power, and betrayal that would burn everything she touched. The rain returned, pounding the streets like drums of war. Aaliyah stood in the open, her chest heaving, soaked to the bone. Across from her, Darius faced her with fire in his eyes, no longer calm but raw. A man stripped of armor. You think you know pain? She shouted, her voice breaking into the storm. You've lived in palaces while I've drowned in scraps. Darius' fists clenched, his voice thundering back. And yet you see me as nothing more than a name, not a man. Their words collided like lightning, each syllable tearing deeper into wounds, old and new. The world blurred into rain and rage, their pride burning hotter than the storm above. Her voice cracked again, softer but sharper. You saw me at my weakest, and you played God. Tears mixed with rain as she trembled. Darius stepped forward, his tone laced with fury and desperation. I didn't save you because I pitied you. I saved you because I saw myself in you. His words carved into her like knives, leaving no place to hide. Aaliyah shook her head, rage flaring. You don't know me. You'll never know the weight I carry. Darius' voice dropped, low and trembling. Then let me try. Their eyes locked, storm against storm, both daring the other to break first. Serena's voice sliced through the storm like a dagger. Pathetic, she sneered, stepping forward under her crimson umbrella. Her smile dripped venom as she circled them. Darius, always rescuing strays. And you, her gaze pierced Aaliyah. So desperate for scraps you mistake pity for love. Aaliyah's jaw locked, but her voice broke sharp, better desperate than empty. Darius spun on Serena, fury sparking in his eyes. Leave her out of this. Serena laughed coldly. Oh, darling, she's already in this. The rain pounded harder, each drop echoing the war spiraling between the three of them. The storm roared, but their voices cut louder. Darius shouted at Serena, You left because love meant nothing to you. His face twisted with pain, old scars ripping open. Serena smirked. And you still think this girl is different? She'll break you too. Aaliyah's chest clenched, torn between fury and sorrow. I am not her, she whispered, voice trembling yet unyielding. Serena's laughter rang cruel, echoing against wet pavement. You're already drowning. Aaliyah's fists tightened, her pride no longer shielding her heart but fueling it. I may drown, she said, louder now, but at least I fight for breath. The climax cracked like thunder. Aaliyah stepped between them, soaked, trembling, but her voice rang clear above the storm. I am not your past, and I am not your pity. I am my own. Her words silenced the night, cutting sharper than Serena's venom or Darius' pleas. Darius's chest rose with heavy breaths, eyes softening as walls crumbled. Serena's smirk faltered, her grip on control slipping. For one fragile moment, the storm stilled, the rain falling softer as if listening. Aaliyah's tears blended with raindrops, her pride and pain tangled into a vow. The war wasn't over, but her voice had claimed its place. The storm eased into a heavy drizzle, raindrops falling like tired tears as the city lights flickered against wet streets. Aaliyah stood still, her body trembling, every breath a war between anger and longing. Darius' gaze softened, but his silence carried the weight of regret. "Say something," she whispered, her voice raw and broken. He stepped closer, raindrops sliding down his sharp jawline, eyes searching hers. "I wanted you to see me without the world's armor," he said. Her chest tightened, torn between fury and sorrow. The words she longed for came too late, and her pride shielded her once more. She turned away, whispering to herself, "I can't survive loving a lie." She walked away, each step slow but final, her sneakers splashing shallow puddles. Darius remained still, his hand twitching as if to reach for her, but his pride and guilt rooted him. "Aaliyah." His voice broke, but she did not turn. Her chest ached, but she kept her head high, whispering, "Never again." The rain's rhythm muffled her sobs, her dignity demanding silence. Behind her, Darius's figure blurred into shadows, a man who carried power but not her trust. Each streetlight illuminated her solitude, a reminder that love could wound as deeply as it could heal. For Aaliyah, survival meant leaving even when her heart begged her to stay. The diner's warm glow pulled Aaliyah in from the storm. She slid into the booth, her notebooks damp, her spirit heavier than the rain. Maya's sharp eyes studied her, reading truths without words. "What happened?" she asked softly, though she already knew. Aaliyah pressed her palms to the table, her voice trembling. "He lied, and I let him matter." Maya reached across, squeezing her hand. "Lies break trust, but love? Love breaks you if you let it rot." Aaliyah's tears fell, quiet and relentless, her pride dissolving into grief. For the first time she admitted, "I wanted him to be real." Meanwhile, Darius stood alone beneath his car's headlights, soaked but unbothered by the cold. His reflection shimmered in the puddles, fractured and unrecognizable. Serena's taunting words still clung to him, but Aaliyah's voice haunted louder. "I can't survive loving a lie." He whispered the words into the night, his breath catching. For the first time, power felt hollow, wealth meaningless. He clenched his fists, jaw tight, whispering, "I never wanted to be my father's son." The storm inside him rivaled the one overhead, but Aaliyah's absence carved a wound deeper than the rain. Alone, he carried the price of his silence. Back in her small apartment, Aaliyah sat by the window, the rain easing into mist. Her notebooks lay open, pages smudged but waiting for words. She pressed her pen to the paper, her hand trembling, her heart still bleeding. She whispered, "I won't be erased." Her pride reshaped itself into strength, not armor, but a vow. Tears blurred her vision, yet she wrote, line after line, pouring her pain into truth. Somewhere across the city, Darius sat in silence, staring at the same rain, their hearts broken but still tethered by something neither could name. The storm had ended, but the scars remained. The city settled into uneasy silence, rain fading into mist as dawn crept across the skyline. Aaliyah walked alone, her bag heavy on her shoulder, her notebooks pressed close like shields. The storm had passed, but her spirit carried its scars. She replayed Darius's confession, the way his voice cracked with truth, the way her pride had demanded distance. The ache inside her was unbearable, yet she forced herself to keep moving. "I am my own," she whispered again, a vow etched into her bones. But behind every step, the shadow of his gaze followed, a tether she could not sever. Across the city, Darius sat in his penthouse. Glass walls overlooking the skyline streaked with mist. His suit jacket hung discarded, his shirt clinging with rain. He leaned against the glass, his reflection fractured by drops that refused to fade. His chest rose heavily, the silence of wealth suffocating him. He whispered her name, the sound too soft for the cavernous room. He thought of her defiance, her vow to survive, her refusal to bend even when broken. It haunted him more than her absence. He was powerful, wealthy, respected, yet in this moment, utterly empty without her. Back in her apartment, Aaliyah sat at her desk, pen scratching against damp notebook pages. Her words bled like wounds, sentences trembling but alive. She wrote of storms, of lies, of love's sharp edges. She wrote of dignity that carried scars. Her tears blurred the ink, but she kept going, whispering, "My story is mine." Her window framed the city's fading storm, dawn's light breaking through gray. For the first time, she didn't write for survival alone. She wrote to reclaim her voice. In her heart, he lingered, but on her page, she was whole again, unshaken, unknown. Maya arrived with coffee, her eyes soft but unyielding. She set the cup beside Aaliyah and whispered, "You don't have to carry this alone." Aaliyah looked up, her face streaked with exhaustion but burning with quiet strength. "I do," she said, though her voice cracked. Maya studied her, then nodded, knowing some battles could only be fought alone. The silence between them was heavy yet tender, filled with truths unspoken. Aaliyah closed her notebook, exhaling. For the first time, the weight didn't crush her. Instead, it became hers to bear, hers to define, hers to shape into something new. The city stirred awake, horns echoing faintly, rain evaporating into fragile sunlight. Aaliyah stood at her window, staring at the horizon where the storm had broken. Her hand pressed against the glass, her reflection fractured but strong. She whispered the words that had carried her through the fire. "I will not be saved. I will save myself." Across the city, Darius whispered her name into silence, his empire vast, his soul empty. Serena vanished back into shadows, her smirk no longer victorious. The story ended, not with love's triumph, but with its scars. Yet those scars, etched deep, became Aaliyah's crown.